Once upon a time, humanity believed the Great Flood was just a story, a divine act of cleansing, a tale of Noah, his ark, and 40 days of rain. But what if that ancient storm did not only drown evil, but genius? What if beneath those endless waters, something greater and far more advanced was erased? For centuries, the flood has been told as a moral parable, a warning from heaven. Yet across the world, from deserts to jungles, mountains to islands, hundreds of cultures echo the same memory. The names change, Noah, Utnapishtim, Manu, but the rhythm of the story remains. A divine warning, a chosen survivor, a vessel, and a world reborn from ruin. This isn't coincidence, it's a pattern. The earth itself remembers. Look closely at the scars it bears. Dry riverbeds that never flowed again, valleys carved by vanished torrents, landscapes frozen mid-disaster. In the northwestern United States, the channeled scablands stretch like the aftermath of a war between oceans and stone. For decades, no one could explain them until geologist J. Harlan Bretz dared to propose the impossible, that they were shaped by a flood so massive it defied comprehension. He was mocked. Then, half a century later, satellite imagery proved him right. But Bretz's flood wasn't local. It was a fragment of something global, a cataclysm that reshaped continents, erased species, and reset civilization itself. Scientists call it the end of the Ice Age. Visionaries like Graham Hancock call it something else, the Great Forgetting. If so, then the story of Noah isn't just scripture, it's memory. Memory of the day the world drowned. Yet when the waters receded, not everything vanished. Across the earth, relics of impossible craftsmanship rise from the soil like ghosts. Göbekli Tepe, built 7,000 years before Egypt's pyramids. Its stone pillars carved with such precision that even modern masons pause in disbelief. Pumapunku in Bolivia, all blocks interlocked like machine components. Baalbek's monoliths, weighing hundreds of tons as though carved for giants. Who built these? How did they know the stars, the solstices, the mechanics of the heavens before we even learned to write? The deeper we dig, the older and stranger the world becomes. Some claim it began with Mu, the fabled mother civilization. In the 19th century, explorers like Augustus Le Plongeon and James Churchward whispered of ancient tablets, of lost continents that once stretched across the Pacific. They spoke of a people who mastered energy, geometry, and sound, whose knowledge vanished beneath the flood. Scholars dismissed it as fantasy, but then the evidence began to stir. On a lonely island of the Pacific, the Moai stand sentinel. Colossal faces carved with elegance, precision, and purpose. When asked how they were built, the Rapa Nui elders said the same words over and over. The knowledge was given to us, passed down from those who came before. Were they honoring ancestors or remembering survivors? But what if the beings before us weren't even human? What if evolution had already reached its first summit, long before we arrived? The fossil record tells tales of intelligence in scales and bone. The Troodon, small bird-like, with a brain-to-body ratio rivaling primates. The Mayasara, like a creature that planned, nested, and protected its young in organized colonies. Some paleontologists even suggested that had they not vanished, they could have evolved into something eerily familiar. A species capable of thought, language, and technology. Could it be that the flood didn't just wipe out humanity's ancestors, but Earth's first civilization? Beneath the waves, the ruins still whisper. Off the coast of India, the Gulf of Cambay reveals submerged streets, foundations, and walls, older than any known city. In Japan's Yonaguni monument, divers swim along terraces and steps that resemble temples cut from solid rock. And near Dwarka, archaeologists found the sunken remnants of a city where legend says Krishna once ruled, before the sea swallowed his kingdom whole. Science calls them coincidences. History calls them myth. But the stones tell another story. Each of these cities lies buried under layers of silt, as though erased not by time, but by catastrophe. Sudden, violent, deliberate. Around 12,800 years ago, the Younger Dryas impact may have triggered just such a deluge, melting ice, raising seas, and ending the world as it was known. If that's true, then the flood wasn't a single story. It was the story. The moment the last advanced civilization disappeared, and yet fragments of their genius survived. The Sumerians, our supposed first civilization, appeared out of nowhere, with advanced mathematics, astronomy, and a written language fully formed. In Egypt, the Dendra reliefs depict devices resembling modern electric lamps. In Greece, the Antikythera mechanism, a mechanical computer from 2 millennia ago, carried engineering knowledge that shouldn't have existed for another 1,000 years. Maybe they didn't invent this knowledge. Maybe they remembered it. From Sumer to Egypt, from Mesoamerica to Tibet, legends speak of teachers who arrived after the flood, bringing wisdom, agriculture, astronomy, and law. Thoth, Quetzalcoatl, Viracocha, Prometheus. Different names, same story. Survivors of a fallen age. And what of us? We dig through their ruins, marvel at their monuments, and dismiss their stories as metaphor. But what if the gods of myth were the last engineers of a world the ocean took? What if every beginning in our history is merely a recovery? A civilization waking up from amnesia? Academia calls these questions heresy, but heresy is only curiosity that has lived too long. The truth may be simpler and stranger. The Great Flood wasn't punishment, it was reset. Civilizations rise like tides, swelling with knowledge and pride, and then inevitably the waters come again. They come not to destroy, but to renew, to wash away what we forget to cherish. Maybe we are not the first ones to build towers that touch the sky. Maybe we will not be the last to see them fall. And if the legends are true, if somewhere beneath the silt and salt of the ocean floor still lies the skeleton of that first world, then perhaps the story of the flood has never ended. Perhaps it is still unfolding, because history is not a straight line. It's a circle, and every age must face its waters again. Keep your mind open. The past is never truly past.
Subscribe to watch the next episode.